Hi, pals. Welcome to the One for the Road podcast. I'm Craig, and each week I'm going to sit down for a couple of beers with one of my best friends and someone who is A, right good at music and that, or B, just an all-round lovely human. So this week I'm having a beer with my good friend, Mr. Paul Wynn. How you doing, buddy?
I'm very well, man. Very well. Glad to be back because it's the second one I've done.
Yeah. And our guest this week, I'm not sure whether it's A or B or both, but it's Jake McAllister from Sunliner. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I think I'm neither. I'm
say
good. I'm good, man. Yeah, just kind of taking along in the same way everyone's taking along in lockdown.
Yeah. So, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm on Star of Praven because it was cheap in the supermarket.
Excellent. What are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking Budweiser, so that is far classier than me Star of Pramen. So, yeah.
I've got Brewdog's Lost Lager, which is probably the world's first carbon negative beer.
Really? That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's the only thing that's more green than this jumper that I'm wearing.
Yeah, it's incredibly green. I enjoy it. Yeah, I think you can't put on one of your virtual backgrounds though, surely, because then all of your body will be gone.
Yeah,
that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Jumper.
Yeah, just a head.
Yeah, be a bit weird, wouldn't it? Just a floating head.
Like Doom. I've been playing Doom all day, so floating heads aren't weird to me anymore.
Yeah. But, I don't know whether you can see over my shoulder though. You might recognise that little bit of artwork on there.
Yeah, that poster. Yeah, got a quality poster work. You got good taste, Slaney. Good taste.
How's the last year of weirdness been for you, man?
It's been weird in terms of obviously it's been weird for everyone. I think with things like work, and I've been furloughed for the majority of it, which has been fine. In terms of writing music though, it's been really, really, really good. We've done loads and loads and loads. We've been in the studio and got half an album recorded. We've got the rest of the album almost ready to be recorded. We're going to go and record a few songs elsewhere at some point as well. And so it's just been really positive to have. It's almost been quite good to have obviously COVID isn't great, but having a year's break for the band purely has been almost really, really good for us because we've kind of been able to reconvene. I mean, all other aspects of life has been fucking balls, but in that kind of sense, it's kind of, you don't get a year to practice and write songs in real life. You don't get fucking reading weeks in real life, do you? And it's been a year of reading weeks.
How long's it been? When did it change again to Sunliner? Which I nearly mistakenly earlier said Sundown. I was like, nope, that's the guy from the Lawrence Arms.
That's something we actually noticed afterwards, and it's now I kind of occasionally misread it. But yeah, that was almost a year. Maybe
we kind of worked out quite well then.
Yeah, we planned on doing it.
For that respect.
Yeah, we planned on doing it, and then it just kind of tied in with us. So I think we did one gig as Sunliner, and then it all, and then everything went to shit. February time last year.
Yeah, it's been a good time for for writing and stuff. I mean, has it been has it influenced the writing in any way? I know, for example, last summer, Gaz Brookfield put out an album called Lockdown, full of songs about lockdown.
Yeah. No, it hasn't. Mainly because I don't think lockdown's a very interesting topic. I think the only because it's insular, isn't it? So the sort of nature of lockdown is that you don't have much to talk about. When you catch up with your friends, what you've been up to, and everyone's nothing. Because if they have been up to something, they probably already told you about it anyway. And so it's I don't find that interesting in terms of what I've noticed actually is that, and recently the sort of newer songs I've been working on, the sort of music has come to me first rather than the lyrics, because the lyrics are taking longer to arrive, if you know what I mean, because less things happening, so your brain doesn't work as much. So our sort of new stuff is far more riffy and just kind of more interesting musically. Well, not necessarily more interesting, but definitely more kind of thought about musically than some of our other stuff, because we've had the time to fuck around with it and sort of tear apart each song and rewrite it and workshop it and stuff, which I fucking love. So that's all good to me.
And as you're doing that, you're not thinking, oh, an acoustic bit would be good there, or a violin would fit.
to be honest, like, I think I'm not opposed to like the acoustic guitar anymore. Like, we could quite happily put it on like on the record at some point. It's just not really happened. I think because we're writing it's all up and down. Like, it's been the ones we've been doing lately. It's been more if it all starts on acoustic guitar anyway. But like, like it'll probably happen. I don't know about violin, to be honest. We kind of phased out the old violin, but like even on on like an acoustic song here and there, it wouldn't be so bad. We released an acoustic song called Dust, and that could have easily have had violin on. It would have sounded nice, but for whatever reason, no.
Yeah. I mean, how are you feeling about sort of this year, like 2021 generally? Are you sort of cautiously optimistic about things, or?
Yeah, I kind of have to be cautiously optimistic. I don't know about you, but if I'm not, I go kind of go nuts. Like, I'd rather have something to look forward to that might not actually happen than like not have anything to look forward to at all. So it's like I'd rather take the sort of emotional hit when it doesn't happen than spend the whole time going like, oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it does feel a little bit like 2020 B, but
it does a little.
Yeah, I think maybe towards the end of the year it'll be a bit more fun and like we'll be able to do stuff. I mean, vaccine rollout is actually looking relatively positive. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. It does look quite positive right now. So, we'll see, I suppose. Just do stuff when things are safe. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you're not sort of like filling your diary for the end of June then?
No, not yet. No, we got like a loose. We kind of want to do some stuff in August, but like to be honest, like anything that comes up in June, July, that time. One, I've got like a fucking bunch of weddings to go to, like everyone else does. Just everything for the last 2 years has just been compressed into June and July, or like we'll probably be back in the studio to record like the second half of the album that we've been doing around that sort of time before we get out on the road. Because I think everyone's going to be kind of like, there are a few other things knocking about before we kind of go out and do like a big tour. But I think like, I think everyone's going to be cautious about it anyway. Nobody's going to jump straight back in, are they? We're not going to be expecting to be. I don't foresee my face rubbing up against a sweaty man's belly for a while. Do you know? Like,
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I see, like 2,000 Trees are pushing ahead the same, but it's like the first weekend in July, and like I think at that point I'd still be a little bit anxious about going and standing with tens of thousands of people. I don't.
Yeah, still keeping the same numbers. Are they still keeping the same amount of attendance?
I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like I suppose in theory, according to how much you trust the government, but like it's in theory it could be okay. I mean, like I'm not. I worry about a lot of things, but like I'm not particularly. If it's allowed and it's safe, then I'm easygoing. In reality, I'm not the one that's going to be like. I don't hang around with too many elderly or vulnerable people, so I'm not super worried about it.
Yeah.
Going forward, obviously beforehand it was a big deal and like was something I was worried about. But like, if things are going as they are going, then if it's safe, then I think it gets to a point, doesn't it, when you've got to make up your own mind, really, I suppose. Like whether you are comfortable or you're not comfortable, and either one's fine.
Definitely true.
Yeah.
Got to start policing yourself and stuff like that after a certain amount, as you say, up to a certain point. I mean, these events, as you say, what's it called? 2,000 trees or 10,000 trees?
2,000.
I can never remember.
No more, no less.
Yeah, no more, no less. There's one line, you get your money back. But I mean, like, even if they do that, like, there's people still need to be, I suppose, as you say, making that choice themselves whether they want to go or not.
Yeah, I mean, like,
just because you got a ticket doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yeah, I think it is that sort of thing. Like life is going to at some point, whether it happens, this year, this summer or later, it is some point going to go back to normal slowly, and we've all got to sort of decide where we, whether it means you go and do a festival where you see 10,000 people and then you isolate for 2 weeks or whatever. Like, I don't know, whatever it is, like. We'll see. It'll happen. We'll see what happens. I think we all know after like a year, it's like you can't fucking predict anything anyway. So
no,
point, isn't it?
It's true. I'm just looking forward to some like real live music as well. Like we've seen all of the live streams and stuff, and like they're wearing a bit thin. Well, they started quite a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the thing is it's not really the fault. It's not the fault of anybody, is it? It's just that like the novelty was really nice to begin with, and like people haven't. It's just the same as everything, like Zoom calls on the whole. I used to have one every night, and now it's like we have one a week with my mates. We do like a adapted Dungeons and Dragons type thing, and like even that is sometimes hard to arrange. And we're still in lockdown. It's just that everyone's sort of enthusiasm for a Zoom meeting has just kind of dwindled. So it's like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like it'd be nice to play. Like we played a live stream, like a full band live stream, and that felt really, really good. Like because we're all all in the same room. And
more for you guys as much.
Yeah, I mean, it felt really good for us. I mean, I'm pretty sure for everyone else, it was probably just another live stream, but for us, it was like, it felt like almost like a moment of normality. Cool.
Yeah, like one thing I've found over the last year, like not just with live streams, because I mean most people have been doing them acoustic, but I've been watching a lot of like live videos on YouTube and stuff, and you don't realize just how much some bands are so like reliant on the crowd to be a good live band.
Yeah.
This might be slight of a controversial opinion, but like the men singers aren't that great live. When you're there, it's one of the best shows you can ever go to. But like we've been watching like live videos of them and stuff, and like they don't sound that great. When they've got 1,000 people screaming the words back, it's such
I've not seen any, but that sounds sacrilege.
But like I think they're a really, really good band. But some bands are just like that. Like they really are a crowd band where it's like big sing-alongs that don't necessarily translate. Especially when you're talking about punk bands, we're not all like session musicians. We're mostly just people that just learned something in our room and found 4 chords and thought that was fun. And so it's like you learn on the road to be better and better and better, but you're still not going to have, likelihood is you're not going to have like the sort of team of people that somebody that's on like Jules Holland might have. So it's like you do rely on the crowds, and like it's like I don't know if either of you like how much you've played live or what you've done, but it's like it's amazing how you can play you can play as tight as fuck one night, and like you just get nothing back from the crowd, and you come off saying it's like the worst gig, you're like, oh, this rubbish gig, whatever. And then the next night, I can have fucked up like 4 separate lyrics. I could have put the wrong chord in the wrong place like 3 times, and like the crowd would have gone mental, and it was like the best gig you played all year. And it's like it doesn't matter if you fucked up if everyone's loving it, because it's just like a sort of like it's like a mutual respect kind of thing, or like you bounce off of each other sort of thing. That's why like I find it so hard to watch back some bands when they fuck up and they get annoyed. And it's like we learned quite early on that like if you get annoyed and you're angry on stage, it's hard to watch as the crowd. So it's like if you fuck up, you've just got to own it and move on, because nobody's going to remember. Like like nobody remember. They only remember if you get weird about it on stage.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite. Well, it was a Jellyfish gig. I think you fucked up so many times. I think if you were assessing it from a musical point of view, it might have been one of your worst gigs. But I had the
probably.
Most. I can't even remember when it was. It was a show at the Key Club.
Oh yeah, I do know. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was actually a bit of a weird time for us as a band, anyway. But we I mean like we were kind of in flux at that point as a band, and like we were still playing because we still wanted to play. But it was very much like a momentum thing. We wanted to keep it going, because I think sometimes if you're in like a bit of a flaky place as a band, if you just let it die, it will just go. So it's like we were kind of carrying on in a way, as in like we want to carry on this band, and it eventually will sort itself out, and it did. But like. Yeah, I think it was just years of touring. We played some gigs where we were tight as fuck, and it got to a point when we weren't, and it was a bit like, well, you just got to carry on and enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the fucking point of being there?
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, like we mentioned about sort of Zoom things being a bit weird. So if we could take this conversation and sort of transport it to the pub, where would you be taking us, Jake?
Where would I be taking it? That's actually really, really hard, because I have, for the best part of 10 years, not really by design, I've worked in bars. And like I work in Arcadia in Headingley, and that is as much as I work there, and I kind of like resent the fact that I work there, it's still probably one of my favorite bars to go to in the world. So I'd either take you there, or if we're allowed to cross borders yet, thanks to fucking Brexit and COVID, I'd probably take you to Stoned in Leipzig.
All right. Okay. Cool.
It's like my favorite bar ever. It's just like I've never been there and not had fun.
What kind of bar is it?
It's just like a dive. Yeah, it's just a dive bar. Just a dive bar in fucking Germany. It's in like some of our best mates work there, and we played we played some really big gigs, and we played some very, very small gigs. But like Stoned is probably 60 cap or something, 70 cap.
Yeah.
And it usually like sells out, it's 70 people or whatever. But it's like 70 people that fucking push. It's like the bar is on like one side, and then like the part that's not the bar is the same width as the bar. And it's just all these people crammed in, and like they probably like we played their most tours we've done in Europe for like the past like 4 years, and like it's always the best show, like because it's just like the vibe. Everyone's so like nice and so happy you're there, and it's just like sweaty and fun and probably not very COVID safe, but like dead fucking good. Retrospectively, you're like, man. But like, if I could go back anywhere, assuming that everything's back to normal, we'll be definitely there, and I'll take you guys there, and you'd sit at the bar and be grumpy because fucking Yankee's not there.
I haven't had Yankee for ages.
Since the Nickelback stopped showing it.
Taking away the fact of COVID, I take away the fact that we've been trapped at home. But no, it's I do always. There's some great bars. I mean, there's a bar in Cologne. I love. It's like I think it's called Frida Bar.
Okay, I think I've heard of it. I don't know if we've actually been there.
Punk rock bar, like out like some random little place in Cologne, which is a brilliant bar.
Yeah.
But it's got some amazing stuff out there in Europe with things like that.
I think like in terms of bars, I think some of my favorite ones are in Germany actually, because it's just like such a fun, like you don't get bars like that in the UK anymore. Like, I mean, I don't know if you, to be honest, I'm probably too young to know if we did at this point, but like, it's kind of, it's just, everything is kind of patched together, and it's just it's a bit shit, and that's why it's nice. Like, I suppose the closest you'd probably get to that in like something like in like Leeds, maybe would be something like Santiago's. It's just an absolute dive. But then
Bannerman's or something.
Yeah, like and it's kind of like the community is what keeps it going, and it's the same people that go all the time, and they all have the small gigs and bigger bands.
How many people like that in York?
Shocking.
York's got so many great pubs though. Like that's kind of like why York's great. But I think, but I think a lot of the places that sometimes you go to in Europe, because like we like going to like rock bars and stuff, but quite a few of them I've been to are like just like there's some amazing ones, but there's some like really I would regard like cheesy ones and stuff like that. Like basically, there's one in Amsterdam that. I just had like what looked like just a bit massive wizard on the wall, and then the drummer was surrounded by like this perspex box, which I asked the barman, and he was just like, "Oh, it's because it's loud," and I was like, "It's the freaking weirdest thing I've ever seen." Like for on stage, anyway.
I think that's kind of fun though. That I don't know why, but in like on the continent, they seem to like the sort of general air of wankiness is considerably lower than the UK. So it's like you wouldn't have a big fucking wizard in a pub in the UK because it wouldn't be cool. Whereas over there, it's just like they don't give a shit if it's cool or not. The wizard is going on the wall.
I'd say it's a wizard. I'm trying to think what it was. It's some form of devilly, wizardy. I appreciate that's what the opposites there, but something like that.
Devil wizard.
Devil wizard.
Sounds pretty evil.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Jake, have you ever been to Maastricht in the Netherlands?
No, I don't think so. We've only played a few places.
Yeah, what was that bar that you found there, Paul? I got you the sign.
Oh,
it was, I can't remember the name of the place.
Oh, get the fucking sign.
He's gonna get the fucking sign.
He's gonna get the sign.
He's gonna get the fucking sign.
So it was this really cool little dive bar, and then you just saw this above the toilets.
Oh, right.
Which I thought was like, but in this bar there was just like ladies football on the telly.
I suppose it doesn't really translate too well to podcasts, does it? Craig,
No.
Craig, what does that say?
I'm going to put this video up as well on.
Oh, really?
For the ones that are watching this,
I didn't think about that at all. Like, I didn't think about oh, look at this. Like, yeah.
Would you like to read your sign, Paul?
Yeah. I don't know if I'll.
If you want to,
I will read it, obviously, but it's we're not awful people. Like, guys, no shirt, no service. Girls, no shirt, free drinks. Classic.
Lads.
But no, that bar was a bit weird in Maastricht. There was the Cats bar was really good in Maastricht, actually. That was the place that just came with little bowls of cheese. That was like just a bar that gave you cheese.
God, I mean, they talk about how dirty bowls of peanuts are meant to be. Imagine how fucking dirty a bowl of cheese would be. Shit.
Just to clarify, it wasn't just on the table when we got there. It was just it's not funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you think if somebody's come, but they always say it's full of it's got wee all over it, don't they? I mean, I suppose peanuts, the wee can sort of fall off the peanut, but with the cheese, it probably absorbed the wee.
Yeah,
but you pick up a bit of cheese and it's a bit greasy. It's
Yeah, you don't know whether
that's a urine coating.
Yeah, it's a thin coating of urine.
So while we're in this bar, then what are you drinking, and why isn't it Yankee?
Why isn't it Yankee? Well, if I'm in Stoned, it won't be Yankee because Yankee won't be there. I know how much you love. They sell Yankee in Waitrose.
Is that what
it is a fancy beer?
It's the cans have done the rounds. They were available in Marks and Spencer's for a while. Sainsbury's had it for a bit, but it just doesn't last.
But never announced it.
You sound so sad about it.
Yeah, I used to be able to just go and get it.
Why didn't you get it directly from Roosters? They would probably have you could have a direct line, like a sort of bat phone.
It's the postage for a full crate of it. When it's two quid a can plus postage for 24 of them, it's quite expensive for a day's drinking.
For one day's drinking, yes, it is. I'd probably have a Jever because that's what they serve there. That's one of the beers, one of the many beers they serve there, and I've always really liked that as a sort of lager. It's a kind of hoppy lager, but it's just funny because we have it in the UK and we get it imported from Germany. And if I speak to any of my German friends, most of them either don't know it or don't like it. But over here, everyone fucking loves it.
Yeah.
So here we are. But yeah, they sell it there on tap. So yeah, I'll go drink that. That sounds pretty banging to me.
Yeah, I remember I went for a drink with you in Leeds once, and was it the North Bar in Leeds? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And there was a lager that we were drinking there that was just really fucking heavy.
Really heavy.
The Freedom Lager.
No, it wasn't Freedom.
Was it Velton's?
Possibly, yeah.
Velton's is.
I remember enjoying it when I went for a drink with you, and then I went again a couple of weeks later after I'd been for a meal, and I was like, Jesus, I am struggling to drink this.
Lager's like that though.
Right, so obviously, I don't think many pubs have jukeboxes anymore, but especially not the pubs that we've just discussed. But if they did, and you had a quid to chuck in the jukebox, what 5 songs would you be putting on?
Oh God, on the spot. I would put on. I think I'd put on "Walking Is Still Honest" against me.
Yep, of course.
Dear Coach's Corner, Propaganda. The Sense by Hot Water Music, because I think that's a really underrated song. Fucking rager. So what's that, 3? Working on the Highway, Bruce Springsteen. And Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield.
That's an interesting choice.
Fucking absolute bangers all round.
Be heavy hit after heavy hit.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
What about you, Paul? What are you putting on this time?
I have to sort of think about it, like, because it's not just like songs from all time. Probably trying to think about what I've been listening to recently. I recently got rid of an old laptop, so I was looking at stuff that getting rid of like iTunes, like things that you randomly tracks that you had on there that I'd forgotten like existed. Like, so
My music taste hasn't evolved in like 20 years, so
I know your music taste hasn't evolved.
So when I get rid of something old,
Yeah.
it's exactly the same as what it was. It's mostly MC Lars.
Oliver Soup, Punk Rock 101. Play it. So I'd probably say the ones I've been listening to this week. One that I forgot was Ministry No W, which I first heard on the Rock Against Bush album.
The band Ministry?
Yes.
I've never actually listened to them. I just remember them being a thing.
I basically reckon I know about that song, but that song is brilliant. It was, as I say, it was on that Rock Against Bush, one of those, which were great albums, actually.
Oh, yeah. When you described what it was like, I don't know that. You got out of the precise moment when you were describing the song.
I will start again for the people out there in Radio Land. It's the only song I know by him. Heard it on Rock Against Bush. Really good. So another one that I would say that I've been listening to that I forgot about was AC/DC, I Feel Safe in New York City. Well, it's called Safe in New York City. I have to look at my bloody phone, man. Can you remember? I Say a Little Prayer, Aretha Franklin. Listened to that recently as well. Probably put that on there. Oh, Fading Like a Flower, Roxette. That I'd go on to. Because that'd get Jacob dancing. He'd be out there with his
I don't know the song, to be honest, but it sounds like awesome.
Oh, I just know. I know already. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I'm sure. If it's got a groove, I've got my hips already.
Yeah.
What was that song that Steve suggested to us last week?
Oh,
It was
Yoko
terrible.
Ono, The Rain. It was the worst piece of shit I've ever heard in my life. And you can keep that in.
Yeah. Like, what was it you described it as? I think you've frozen.
I can't remember. I can't remember what I described it as, but
it's just like an old lady shouting at a bush or something.
yeah, it was an old lady shouting at a bush. It's musical. It's a musical crime. It's fucking awful. And I'd probably say another one that I found, let's say Descendants, I'm Not a Loser. There you go. Bit of punk rock on the end, which would be really good. I
haven't heard that AC/DC song, but it doesn't have the words rock and roll in the title. So
we have New York. It's getting the classic things in there. It's got New York, and New York's a big thing for people. Drinking,
just for people,
a whole lot of women.
It's definitely not Rob from the LEL's favourite AC/DC song.
He's definitely not. He must fucking love AC/DC.
He's a good dude, is Rob. We'll have to get him on.
Get him on the podcast. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, we'll have a drinking game for every time he says rock and roll.
Oh, yes! You can get like a little counter in the corner. It'd be fucking really good.
See how sober we are after 40 minutes.
I want to join in for that one.
I'd
be like just in the corner as an observer.
That would be fun. You mentioned, Paul, the Rock Against Bush thing. Have you listened to either of you listen to any of the new NoFX stuff?
I've only listened to gun in a fish in a gun barrel. I thought it was actually really good. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's pretty good album. It's like they're a weird band that they're nearly 40 years in, and they're actually like last couple of albums they're putting out some of their best material.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of like in theory that should be how it works. I mean, I think every band thinks that's how they work, but like not necessarily every fan. But like you learn, don't you? You learn how to write songs, and assuming you're not phoning it in towards the end, like why would it not be the case?
Yeah,
I quite like their cover of what was it? Is it Hey Kitty?
Yeah.
Kitty? Yeah. It was actually really good.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to actually be good. What I love about the Offspring is his voice, because it's like he's just got like a voice. I mean, I assume it's double tracked, but you'd think his voice was like tracked 16 times or something. It just sounds so thick.
But then, like, I've seen them live quite a few times, and like,
still a band I've never seen live. Like they're still out of all the bands that I could have seen, that I would say they're the one from like. Obviously, I could never have seen Nirvana, but I always have that theory, don't I? When you're like growing up, like around the ages that we are, they usually like 3 of these 4 bands: Blink-182, Green Day, The Offspring, Nirvana. Most people liked at least 3 of those bands, and like The Offspring's just one that I've still never seen. I would really like to see, even though just to almost say the nostalgia kind of stuff.
I think he's what's his name?
Dexter Holland, is it?
Dexter Holland. So yeah, he's a really interesting man. Yeah, he's like a fucking scientist. He's just like really
hot sauce.
Does he? Ah, cool.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast.
He's a scientist.
Yeah, he's a scientist. He was working on like.
Are all these fucking like Milo? What the hell he's called from Descendants? Isn't he like a scientist?
Yeah, so like Offspring were on tour like a few years back, and he was working on like a cure. It was I don't know if it was like it was something massive, you know, like a cure for like AIDS or like a cure for like cancer, whilst on tour. Just like he just took a break and he was like in the back room like working on his like bashing at the keyboard, doing whatever you do.
It comes out like pretty fly for a white guy.
Yeah, so it's like that's apparently what the what's the song, you know, like you got to keep them separated. It's from like germs in a or whatever in a petri dish. Yeah, he's like he's a really interesting character. Wow. Yeah, and he's like I don't know. When I've heard interviews with him, he's just like really positive and still fucking loves it. It's like, you know, whether you like the music or not, I love a person who's still into. But
that kind of makes me respect them more in a way, because some of the music that I've listened to they've done recently is like, well, for a long time, in my opinion, been quite terrible. But at the same time, like I kind of really like the fact that he's doing something else, just like he just does it because that's the just do that. And I kind of like that kind of attitude. It's kind of like just fuck it. It's just what we do.
You kind of think that, you know, like sorry?
The Offspring are punk rock's Nickelback.
You think?
They put out this sort of cheesy.
That is harsh.
Weird.
It is harsh.
That is fucking brutal.
Well, no, like, because I don't know if you've ever actually bothered to listen to a Nickelback album, but it sounds nothing like the singles that get played on the radio.
I had Silver Side Up as a kid.
Who didn't? Who didn't, man?
Well, it's an absolute cringy listen if you listen back. Like, there's some really not great lyrics going on. Not that
the lyrics for Nickelback are terrible, but
yeah, as in very like questionable. Not but. I mean, I don't think anybody's rushing back to listen to the albums.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was on that album, but they Nickelback had a song called "Something in Your Mouth."
I didn't, did they?
I hope it was really innocent.
Like, oh no, I'm gonna Google the lyrics to it now, and
oh my god, I'm excited to hear.
They were not innocent.
It was not broccoli.
Hang on. See if I can find the chorus. So you're ripping up the dance floor, honey. You shake your ass around for everybody. I love the way you dance with anybody and tease them all by sucking on your thumb. You're so much cooler when you never pull it out because you look so much cuter with something in your mouth.
Oh, man. Like, I didn't know if there was like...
It's like Shakespeare.
Don't know if there was like much respect for Nickelback that I could lose, like more respect. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh no, turns out you can go lower in my estimation.
Yeah, what a band!
I was having Ted Nugent in a music video
on the jukebox. Then
no,
do what you like. I think it's funny.
We'll just leave.
I kind of like how much everyone hates them. I think it's really, really funny. Like I don't really care. Like some people really give a shit about it, and it's funny.
Because I know, like on your Desert Island Punk thing, you were asking people about Nickelback, weren't you?
Yeah, we had this thing where it was like, if when you're on the island, if you come across a book, in that book there's a spell in it, and it lets you go back to home. So you can go, you're off the island, you can go back home. But when any music comes on, regardless of what type of music, it could be your alarm on your phone or somebody whistling in the street, it would always be Nickelback. And it was like, the range of responses was amazing because like some people were like, so like I'll never possibly go home. And those were just like, well, I actually do want to see my friends and family, so yes, I will. I always like kind of loved how it got like deep into it as well. Like if you went into a show and there were 4 bands playing, they'd all be playing Nickelback.
So I mean, how much thought did you put into that? Would it be like hot water music covering Nickelback, or would you just hear Jack Kroger's voice?
We had a bit of a thought about it. So like so it would essentially, so you would hear it as, I mean, everyone else would hear it normally, but like you'd hear that band playing Nickelback. So it would be their version of Nickelback. So it could be quite interesting.
Yeah. That could be very, very interesting, actually. That really could.
Because the song
you can make it happen.
Yeah, like the song I've just mentioned with like Something in Your Mouth. I'd love to hear you singing those lyrics, Jake.
Yeah, never.
Okay, so we'll just finish on like a random fact then, because obviously, when we're in the pub, you chat some absolute nonsense, and sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's not. But did you know that that cows have best friends?
Oh man, that is a really good, cool fact.
It's a good fact, but who is asking the cows and finding out this fact? How do you know this?
Yeah, I like it's cool, but I would be interested in the science behind it.
I'm skeptical. I can believe they have best friends. I'm skeptical of the person who made this a fact.
There's somebody that puts like a ribbon around it, like this is a certified fact.
No, apparently, like when you've got a field,
this is
they tend to pair up.
Question this at your peril.
And they've actually like tested sort of like heart rate and stuff for potential like separation anxiety between like pairs of cows.
Do they have enemies?
Yeah, I can totally get that. Of course, you can but the best friend thing, I'm drawing the lines.
No. I'm more interested in their worst friend. Like the one that's like
who is their enemy?
Eating their hay, eating their patch of grass.
Yeah.
They really were after. So it could make for a good sitcom.
It could.
Heard it here first.
Definitely.
I'd watch that.
Cow sitcom, just the same as everything, just everyone's cows.
Yeah, just
various cow-related shit, the problems that happen.
Yeah, just sort of just chewing grass and shitting. It's pretty much all we do, isn't it?
It would be one series, a limited series.
Okay, just before we finish then, Jake, have you got anything anything you've got coming up that we didn't cover earlier that you'd like to tell people about?
Not particularly. We've got music coming. I can't tell you when, but it's coming. I have no idea what's going on. So not really. Other than, keep an eye out. But everyone's looking at social media all the time at the moment anyway, so can't imagine it's any different.
Nothing else to do.
Yeah,
that's true. It's true. But I would like to say that I have a lot of love for this length of Craig Slaney's beard.
Yeah, I've noticed
a handsome man.
Recently, like you were bullying me around this time last year.
I was not bullying.
My epic beard.
Yeah, the proper like long wispy beard, and I was just like, we could make this better, couldn't we, Craig? I nearly cut it off there and then. If I had carried around some scissors with me, I think I'd have done it there and then.
Well, it lasted less than 24 hours after your relentless bullying that night.
Really? Oh, amazing. I'm happy about that.
You have a lot of influence.
Oh yeah, clearly I do. Yeah.
Paul, any final thoughts? Not ever.
No.
Like, I'm not.
What are the final thoughts you'll have?
Yeah, are these my end days or something like that? Like, am I on the way out? Is someone after this? Is Beth gonna have a conversation with me? That was just your last hurrah. You're gonna die on Monday. We're putting you down. No, I have no thoughts. I should have come prepared with a thought, and that would have been good to have something positive to end on, other than it's been nice to talk to you, Jake. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'd be interested to see the new Sundowner stuff soon.
Sundowner.
Yeah.
Wrong again.
Yeah,
You get it wrong.
I would like to see the Sundowner stuff as well. That sounds
It was done
crap.
on purpose. I knew what I was doing.
I'm not sure you did.
I fucking did. I did.
Either way, it's fine, man. I'm all aboard.
All right, Paul, Jake, thanks for taking the time, and everybody that's listening, thanks for listening, and like and subscribe and all that stuff that you do when you listen to podcasts. See you next week.